Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about the fastest way that I know to scale your remodeling business to that 7-figure mark, to $1 million per year. Now, this is incredibly important because it's a mistake that I see a lot of people make. It's something where business owners typically focus on the wrong things. They maybe make a few early mistakes that lead them to, wasting a bunch of time and a bunch of dollars way down the line. So it's a pretty important one. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Ben Lister, and I help construction, remodeling, interior design businesses and general contractors to crack the code of marketing so that they have an excess of customers and jobs available to them. Now, the main point that I want to make here is that in order to scale to $1 million per year, 7 figures, you don't need a bunch of products. You don't need, 7 different services. You don't need a wide range of different things. In fact, it's probably better if you only have one service, right? And you just perfect that. You want one service to sell to one type of person in one type of way. And this streamlined approach is really the quickest way to get to 7 figures. And the reason for this is you don't have to specialize in a bunch of different things. You can really start to target in on one specific kind of person who wants one specific product, focus on delivering that in a fast way, the highest quality possible and the best way possible, and you're going to get stacks and stacks and stacks of good reviews, and it's going to be super easy to actually scale that, and to build a team around this one product and one solution that you have. So going from doing interior jobs and exterior jobs, and concrete and flooring and all this, to just focusing on bathroom remodels or kitchen remodels or, one specific service is going to make you 10 times better at that service, not only in how you can actually deliver on that, but also the feedback and the customer satisfaction that you get. And this obviously means that you can charge a higher price because you're now better and you have you're more established as a business. A common misconception that I see when I speak to business owners and I give this advice and I discuss this with them is that there's not enough people around for, to sell one service to, they only have a small market. They don't have enough leads as it is right now. How can they, go from selling 5 things to 1 thing and actually still bring in enough money to run the business and to scale the business? Well, if you live in a big enough area, a major metropolitan area, if you don't live in a small urban area, then there's enough people out there to want your service and you've just got to go and find them, right? You might have to increase your catchment area a little bit, but in most cases, if you are serving an area of 500,000, 1 million people and you are only specializing in one certain thing, you're going to increase the market share that you have of that service, whether it's a kitchen remodel, for example. And what this is going to do is mean that you're going to stand out more to these people. So instead of fighting for all these different jobs, being a sort of jack of all trades, doing a little bit of everything, we're now going to hone in on this one person who wants this one specific thing, and we're going to make sure that we find more of them in the area. And so that is for the sort of service delivery side of your business. Now, there's 3 more areas of the business that I would want to focus on, in order to make your business more streamlined, in order to make it so it's less complex. And that is the marketing, the sales, and the hiring. So if you're currently relying on referrals or word of mouth or anything like that, this doesn't need any kind of management. You don't really have to change anything to do with this. You can offer some kind of incentive for referrals, small discounts if you refer a paying customer, or cash for the customer if they do refer someone who does buy from you. But it's not really necessary, especially if your service is up to par. You wouldn't have to do something like this. And then when it comes to paid traffic or generating leads that is not from word of mouth or not from referrals, we want to focus primarily on one system. Now, you might have 5 different ways to generate leads. You might do social media, you might use Angie's List, you might send out flyers, you might do Google ads, and you might pay someone to do your website, right? But I'm here to tell you that one service right now, for example, if it was social media ads, that would be far enough to scale to $1 million per year, if not more. And it's really just about the volume that you put into it. And if you specialize in, this one particular area of customer acquisition, let's say social media ads, for example, and you get very good at it and you can have a really, really low cost per lead and you make sure that your lead to appointment rate is converting incredibly high, then that is, plenty enough to get you to $1 million a year. And this streamlined approach also means that when you do come to hire someone to take over this system, whether this be an external provider or it be someone actually internally inside your team, they don't have to specialize in social media ads, flyers, organic social media, Google ads or anything like that. They just have to specialize in one thing. So it means that you can pay them the same amount as you would for someone that does all these kind of different things, and they're probably going to perform better and generate you more appointments and more leads because they're specialists in this area and they know what they're doing. And then of course this also makes it easier to bring multiple people on to sort of outsource this further if you need to, and really have a system in place that actually generates you leads and appointments. So rather having 5 different things that's going on, we have one thing that's converting incredibly highly. We're putting a bit of money into it, a lot of our time into it, but if it is converting, then it's basically going to be a lot simpler than all of these different systems going on that are doing a few appointments here, a few appointments there. We have one system that's bringing in a solid number of appointments every single week. And then when it comes to actually selling, obviously this is incredibly important for any service-based business, but if you have a sales process where you go and visit the customer in their home and you have a team of people that conduct these estimates, we want really one process, one script, one method of selling to these customers. And this can cover everything from the type of appointments that you give, to the line of questioning that you use, to the objection handling that you use, all the way down to how you actually, build relationships and rapport with your customers. And obviously this means if you are looking to expand, if you're doing sort of 500k a year right now, and you want to double that, and you have a sales process in place, one sales process, the person that you bring on, it doesn't matter if they're not the best salesperson in the world, because you teach them your process and there's one process there, and you say to them, we're pretty strict with how we operate in our sales. If you get this objection, this is what you say, because this is how we've known that it works in the past. And this way you don't have 4 different salespeople running 4 different sales tactics, and they have 4 different lines of questioning. And this is a really good way to actually sort of analyze your sales results. So if you are asking people different questions and you are handling objections in a different way, you can't really track the numbers, right? You can't really say, if one sales rep is converting at 20% and another's converting at 30%, you can't really compare those like for like if they're not using the same system. But if everyone was using the same system and it was uniform, super streamlined, super simple, then you're going to be able to actually directly compare those sales reps, because if one of them's doing 25% and one of them's doing 35%, then it's not the process that they're doing. It's actually something to do with how they're implementing that process and their skills as a salesperson. And of course, this could also help the sales team, because, if everyone is working together and everyone is discussing their results and their practices and what they've been through in the recent weeks, if they are all in the same process, they can pick up on tips and tricks. It's very easy to train people in this process, because everyone really is singing from the same sheet, if that makes sense, where, there's no crossover between different sales processes and stuff. Everyone is doing the same system. So if someone has some success and someone isn't, someone struggles with objection handling or whatever it may be, then you can have that collaboration there with the sales team. And it's pretty easy and it's pretty seamless to actually, start to level up that sales team and to get them to improve. And another very good way to streamline the business is through your hiring process, right? So if you are bringing on people who are, working in the installation team or in the sales team or whatever it may be, you want one process to recruit these people. You don't ideally want to go through multiple different recruitment websites or agencies or anything like that. Keep it simple, go for one, and have one process that can actually hire multiple different positions with one process. Because if you are, using a range of different platforms, a range of different agencies, if you're speaking to someone else and it's not going through your process, if you're not going through a typical interview process, for example, or whatever it is, it's just chaos at this point. And, if you are scaling pretty quickly, getting to that $1 million a year mark, this process kind of needs to be thought out pretty quickly. So you're going to be hiring, maybe 5, 10, 15 people. So having one process that's thought out, you don't have to think about a new process every single time that you do it, can make it super, super easy. And another really great way to streamline this is to not hire people for multiple roles. So this is a trap that I see a lot of remodeling business owners fall into, where, they hire one person to do the receptionist and also to handle some of the marketing as well. And this can be a bit of a trap, because you've then got a bit of a generalist and it's not really what you want in your business. It definitely makes more sense than, having all these people doing all the different jobs than having one person that specializes in one thing. One person who's a receptionist and they handle the inbound calls and maybe do some outbound calls or something like that. And then if you have, different contractors that work for you or people in the installation team or whatever it may be, making sure that they specialize in one thing. And remember, if you are specializing in kitchen remodels or whatever it may be, if you have someone that comes in on your service delivery team, then they can actually, really get to grips with this system pretty quickly. They don't have to learn a bunch of different things. Maybe they haven't done a service before. You don't have to teach them that, because there's only one service here. And it also means that you can hire more specific people, right? People who do specialize in this, people who have experience only in kitchen remodeling, for example, or whatever it is, the service that you're going to sell as the one service. Hiring in this way can also take the cognitive load off these workers. So, you don't have to really give people too much training. You don't have to make them think about too much. And it really just becomes a seamless process, right? The classic example of this is obviously Henry Ford when he was first building the Ford Motor Company. And, you know, he would hire workers, and the first production line ever that was actually successful and profitable by building these mass production cars was where people did the same job every single day. So instead of someone building out one section of the car, they literally just built out one part of one section, and they had a team that focused on, you know, the interior, or a team that focused on the engine, or whatever it may be. And each person in that team had a very distinct role. And instead of doing all these different parts, they did one thing every day. And, you know, this is how they really got very good at things, and everyone got really, really good at their individual job. And, you know, you can do this in your business to, you know, obviously a smaller extent, but, you know, it still applies in the same way. By the way, if you are struggling to get remodeling or contractor or construction or interior design jobs, go ahead and click the first link in the description. Don't worry, it's not some 5-figure course or some free training or anything like that. It's a video of me explaining how my company can actually help to fix that problem. I don't mind if you click it or not. You don't have to. Obviously, if you just want to watch these videos, that's completely fine, and just enjoy the value that you get out of this. So yeah, if you did enjoy this video, I would appreciate it if you liked the video. Comment if you want any sort of suggestions at all, and if you want to keep up to date with these videos, you can obviously subscribe below. Really appreciate you watching this one all the way to the end. Yeah, it means a lot. I appreciate it. Cheers.